Hey everyone, good afternoon. I am Kristen Nicole Mann and I welcome you back to my channel. I have not been on for a little bit, but today I'm on. So we're gonna learn about some things that we're gonna talk about for women. And I know this problem of you being afraid to show up online is probably something that can speak to you because we've all been there. We've all had times where we posted something. You ever post like a picture or a status and you're like, no, this is not what I want to look like. This is not what I want to sound like. This is just not good. So I'm gonna take it down. And 9 times out of 10, somebody already saw it. So you're just gonna look real um not stable to them. But I wanted to get on here and talk about this because this is like a conversation I'm getting a lot in my personal life. And then I see sometimes online that people are afraid to show up because they just don't know what to talk about. They don't know what to post. But today I'm going to hit on some points where it may help you to unblock yourself from moving forward in sharing content, sharing your expertise, sharing what you know, and really just getting beyond, the old audience that you may have that may know you for being a partier, or may know you for something that was negative, or maybe know you for even something positive, but you've moved in another direction. This is probably the video for you. So, welcome. I am Kristen Nicole Mann. I am a visual artist, author, entrepreneur, and I also want you to visit my website, www.kristennicolemann. I have resources for women that are high functioning. They may work, but they may have lost their identity and they're trying to find their voice again. You can go on my website in the creative resources tab, the resources tab, and then it'll say creative resources and go get my guide. It's called Your Story, Your Strategy. And I want you to buy that and start working on it, start asking yourself the hard questions because it is a tool to help you move forward with you showing up in the world and showing how great you are to people that you know and that you don't know. Doing this takes courage. So I was there. I used to not want to show up. I still sometimes don't want to show up. But hey, either you love me or you don't. If you don't, oh well. If you do, that's fine too. So let's get started. I'm gonna go over 5 points that I have in front of me that I wanted to curate for you all to think about and dwell upon. And the number one reason that probably everybody can relate to, including me, is fear of being misunderstood by the old audience. So let's say you started a Facebook like me, Facebook page in 2007. That was the year that I was young. I wasn't fully blossomed into who I was. And I have some of those same people on my timeline and I've grown, I've changed, I'm a totally different person than what they knew me about. And let's just say, what if I was like, I don't want to show up because 5 people knew me from high school. I'm gonna let you sit and think about how damaging that could be. And let's say I also have a business or a business endeavor that I'm trying to start, or maybe I'm trying to put an event together and, I'm scared or afraid of these few people that's been on my page since I started. And I'm like, you know what? Never mind. Sounds a little off, right? But many women, we evolve quietly behind the scenes that they may not have seen in front row center. Maybe we don't talk to them every day. And, we think in our minds that they still expect that same person from high school, that same person from even middle school. Maybe you met them in your early adulthood and you just didn't have life together, and you have made the steps towards putting your life, the pieces of the puzzle together, and you still have that shame, you still have that, like, I don't know how they feel about me. You have to get over that. It's a fear that we all have to walk through, and get on the other side, because you don't want to block your blessings because of a few people that knew you one way, but you are going in another way. And it's unfortunate that so many women are silently suffering because they don't know how to show up outside of what these people know them for. And it feels like emotional whiplash because you're like, you're healed, you're whole, and then you're like looking behind you and wondering, okay, I did these things, I did all these bad things, I treated this person like that, I didn't do well with my money and this, and then all that goes through your head when you're in fear, and it cripples you. And so you end up not doing anything because of these few people. So what you can do is either you can remove them from your page, especially if they're not engaging. I've done this later in my social media life, where I was like, you know what? This person doesn't share anything, they don't engage, they don't even look at my stories. If I'm not being served by them in a certain way, like they may not even post anymore, you don't have to keep them around on your timelines. You can actually just delete them and go on. No hard feelings, no guilt, just go on. Because there's gonna be people that watch you, even in your whole personality, and they might not like what they see. They might like the old you, they might like the struggling you, and you might just have changed. So it's up to you to decide if you want these people to continue to watch you, or do you want to go in another direction. So the first one, again, fear of being misunderstood by the old audience. Second, guilt from outgrowing people. Now, this is a big one because you feel when you have made some successes and you look back at maybe someone that you were struggling with, or you all had just some perseverance moments where you got over certain things, and let's say that person's not progressing as fast as you are. Let's say you took the time out of your daily schedule to set aside learning, unlearning habits, unlearning these things that were toxic to your life. And let's say the other person that you were side by side with did not. And let's say they're going very slow at their growth, and so slow that they honestly don't want you to leave them. And there's some people that actually physically say this, where they'll say to the people that have grown, they're like, oh, don't think all that, like, don't forget about me, and all those things, those sayings can register in your mind subconsciously, and you'll feel guilty about moving forward, and then you will stay stagnant where you're at just so that you can appease those people that are saying, don't forget about me, don't forget what I've done for you, and they're not taking the necessary steps that they need in their life to move ahead. So you don't, you know, have to feel guilty, but I know that it's a natural feeling that sometimes we have when we are leaving people behind. And so we end up shrinking, and that's not always good. Actually, I found in my life, I'm like, that's never good when you shrink yourself, because you're going to only be frustrated at yourself, and you're going to feel the effects of that through frustration and feel like, know that there's more, but you are the one holding you back. So, um, don't feel like you have to preserve comfort for people. There's just gonna be honestly people that continue to fall off. I can't tell you how many people have fell off my journey. People that I thought I was gonna go to the ends with. I literally just recently got blocked. I talked about it on my TikTok. Like I got blocked from someone. I thought we were friends. I thought we were cool. But I had a period of 2 or 3 weeks where I had like book tour. I put it on my YouTube. I had just this surge of stuff happening and I couldn't be on the phone like that. And I truly feel like that maybe was the reasoning. But there was never a conversation. There was never a conversation. There was no beef. There was no, it was just, I didn't have time to really call. And one day I was like, I don't see this person and stuff like that. And I couldn't on Instagram everywhere, every platform that that person was active, I was blocked from. So I had to come to a understanding that I couldn't feel bad if that was the person's decision. There's nothing that I can do about it. I know that I didn't do nothing and I can sleep at night knowing that. But unfortunately, some people will take that situation that I moved on from worse than I did. So you just can't feel guilty and you can't shrink yourself for the comfort of others. You're going to have to get uncomfortable if you're going to show up online consistently every single day. Okay. Now, number three is another big one because church and community conditioning. Number three, especially for people, women that grew up in church, it is a tight knit circle and being seen has rules. And so when you grow up under that, you feel like people are constantly watching over your back. I literally just broke that off my life a few years ago. There's people that babysat me, there's people that was in my life when I was a little girl from the church space, and you will tell yourself, it wouldn't even be them telling you, you will tell yourself like, oh my God, I can't talk about this, I can't talk about that. And then one day I was like, I am well, like an adult. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about or what I'm called to talk about, or just in general, be myself. And if it's not offending people, if it's not like a vulgar thing where I put like, sexual things or X-rated or any like fighting or anything, I don't do that. So I just was like, what are you doing? Why are you shrinking? Because these people, but it's a mindset that you have, like a conditioning, not a mindset. Well, it could be both, but it's a conditioning that you get used to where a lot of church women don't talk. They don't self-express. We see that now in the mega churches and stuff because stuff has just changed. There's nothing that people can do about it. But the local rural churches, they have not turned over a new leaf. Some of them have, some of them haven't. But it was a conditioning where you couldn't really ask a lot of questions. You wondered what people were doing, you wondered how they lived life, but you never got the answers in some instances. So self-expression, you always had to ask. There was always a ruler. And that's the Bible says we're supposed to dominate over the fish, the nature, the sea, all that. But we're not supposed to rule over people. And you could go in Genesis, but that's you have to ask permission in some of these spaces, physically and subconsciously, and that's not authenticity. That's not authenticity at all. And you just feel like you're suffocating. So this could be a reason why you're afraid to show up because you don't know what it feels like to give yourself permission to show up and talk about what you know and explain and share. It just might not be. It might not be there. So you're gonna have to work on that. It's a daily thing. It's a daily walk. It's a daily chipping away of understanding how far you came and how you might just have some of them disagree with you, and that's okay. It's a healthy way to disagree. It's a healthy way to agree. So you never know. You might have one of them message you because of your story, because of what shared. And that's why I made the guide for you all to get, because it's a lot of things that we think aren't blocking us actually are. It's little things. This to me, like the conditioning is a little thing that you can just remove out the way and you can go forward to the capacity of what God has given you. So, next thing. Now, this is another one. All of these are big for me. That's why I'm telling y'all what I'm telling y'all, because it's not something that I didn't go through and I'm just like trying to tell y'all from the outside. No, this is all stuff that I know firsthand. So now, number 4 is past shade, subtweets, or friendships that ended weird. I'm going to tell you what I did, okay? But the first thing is I'm going to say is fear of being watched by people who silently judged or walked away could be something that has blocked you from showing up online. Now, these experiences that I've had, what I had to do, and I'm gonna make you not feel guilty about, you might feel more relieved after I tell you this. I've had to honestly get rid of some people off of my page that you just know when a chapter is closed. Now, the situation where the person blocked me, that chapter wasn't closed. I didn't know. But when you have to keep rehashing a conversation with someone and you feel like it's just not there no more, and y'all start falling off with communication, y'all start just not, you don't have nothing in common, it's okay to remove those people. And it's not removing them because you're bitter or mad. It's just like you can't have a front row seat to what I'm doing anymore. Know if you're rooting for me or if you're not, you're in a different space right now. I'm probably not, what I'm talking about is probably not going to benefit you. It's just sometimes on you. Again, it's on you to make that decision because they're just not going to do it. And there are people that monitor what you do out of just wanting you to fail. So if you feel that nudge, which is always the Holy Spirit for me, but if you feel that nudge, pay attention to it. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Showing up becomes a risk of reactivating old shame or side eyes. And I truly feel a lot of the stuff that I talk about really rips the band-aid off for some people because my life is art. Like make stuff from nothing all the time. Like I come from situations and I make it art. I just make it a learning lesson. Like I always mold and shape things into bettering myself. I'll put it like that. So you showing up could be a risk to someone and it could remind them of the shame they have. It could remind them of just how they feel bad about not succeeding and doing all the things that they could do. So they might just use your platform to watch and not help in a way, just to watch to see, okay, if she falls off, I'll feel better about my, lack of understanding or lack of motivation. Like it's a real thing. So if you have discernment where you feel like somebody is just, not for you and they're just watching to see if you feel, you can get them off of your page. You can remove them and you can start afresh by adding new people, reaching new people, engaging with new people, and then eventually you just won't see these people's things anymore that you used to know. So that's just what I did in case you have been feeling that and you've been waking up like, I got to do something different. because your platform could be a sacred community. It is a form of community. So if anything is disrupting that in a negative manner, you're going to have to clear those weeds out the way. Um, and then finally, number five, drum roll, not wanting to seem like you're selling yourself. Now, this is another big one because if you are an entrepreneur or you just started a business, or maybe even you're selling like stuff for your kids in school, you get like, you tense up and you're like, I don't want to sound like a car salesman, or I don't want to seem like I'm ripping my audience off because I always want to talk about what I do and they don't care. I'm gonna tell you that now. There's so many people online that by the time you post and the next minute comes, somebody is occupied with the next person. So that's why, as a sales person, like a person that has a business, you're actually a salesperson. So you have to continuously post your product, your guide, your course, your whatever your event, whatever you're doing, you have to continually post it and not feel bad about who it's in front of. So high functioning women don't want to be misunderstood for chasing clout. That was me. I'll tell you an example. So there's some women that show up on platforms where they talk about motherhood a lot. They're like, I don't grind, I don't do all the what the language. And at some point that was like kind of making me feel bad because I was like, um, the game ain't changed. Like I didn't choose the game. The game chose me. So I'm like, why do I feel like this? And some of those people don't mean any harm. But some of them, they kind of are doing that to have a sense of identity online. So they say these things, they make themselves feel better about the season they are in their life. Whether that's, having babies or being a stay-at-home mom, it's nothing wrong with that. But when you don't use it for the greater benefit of other people, sorry, my wrist is hurting. Other people, maybe you need to start a community. Maybe you don't need to just be like trying to defend your decision. Maybe you need to start a community of women that also feel like you feel, so that you have constant content that you can draw from. It's like a content bank where you can just draw from it and you can continue to talk about these things that they maybe complain about, maybe they are curious about, maybe they y'all all relate on cooking, getting the kids ready for school, like all these things. But um when it comes to a high functioning woman that wants to work, that wants to do the mom thing too, but wants to really build something, we can sometimes internalize it and say, they're gonna think I'm doing too much or da, 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 da. And that's not true at all. Um, and they've seen overexposure and want meaning and not noise. So if you have a meaning to what you do or with your audience, that's all that matters. It's not about making too much noise. If you bring value to their platform or their timeline, they're going to draw to it. If you don't, they're going to scroll by. It's nothing wrong with either. And I just wanted to share those five things. So I'm going to repeat all of them: fear of being misunderstood by the old audience, guilt from outgrowing people, church/community conditioning, past shade, subtweets, or friendships that ended weird, and number five, not wanting to seem like you're selling yourself. If you have business, if you have something, a goal you're trying to achieve, go for it. Post it 7, 10 times a day. Actually, the statistic is now I think 11 to 15 times a day. So you're not going to get seen if you don't post to that high caliber of and high quality. So closing, I want to say you're not doing too much. That's the first thing I want to say. You're no longer digestible for some people. And you're just gonna have to be okay with that. But you're not doing too much. And you want to be okay with people never truly seeing you. And they might see you, but they just still might not want to see you. And you got new people, you got a whole world. I have the world map where they haven't seen you and they'll love you and they'll love what you have to say. And if you block yourself and not show up, those people will never know what their greatness is. They'll never know what they can do and what they can achieve. And you have to show up anyway. You have to show up anyway. So I showed up for you today. And again, go to www.KristenNicoleMann in the resources tab. I have a guide. I have a couple guides where you can help you can help yourself get through these type of roadblocks that sometimes life gives us. And I want you to go check that out. And I will be back another time, but I hope you enjoyed this and like and subscribe to my channel, Kristen Nicole Mann, and I will be back with more. Y'all have a fabulous day. Talk to you later. Bye.